fuse of the evening, most carefully shunned, those fears of the sky, for the loss of the sun.
Good afternoon, aloha from tropical Montana. Hey guys, how you doing? Montana Sky Watchers, this is Samuel Hofman. Today is the 24th, the 24th of September 2016. Let me drop the tunes a little bit here I'd like to talk to you today about some stuff. Everybody's been waiting for my next video. Point out that these are the Nibiru system planets and where they're approximately sitting. There's been, of course, some new changes, and that's kind of why I'm making the video today. I'm glad to have you guys all along, and I'm thankful that you're all listening, and I really appreciate your support and you guys mentioning me. There's been some new talk about me down in Australia. I'm kind of interested in running into those folks down there if they can get hold of me, and some phone calls, etc. Especially since we're having computer issues between Skype and Facebook and this and that, and how most of my stuff isn't functioning like we'd like it to. But anyway, working on this video, let's get started here. We, the Earth, have been currently having a real close run-in with Nepacity on a regular basis, and a lot of people have been seeing a lot of really interesting stuff that they really can't functionally make out what exactly is happening. I'd like to point out that on the left side of the Sun is Saturn, Nepacity, and Matim crosses on a regular basis actually past the Sun or over the Sun or above the Sun, depending on where you are located on the side of the planet. If you're up here in Montana, it looks one way, and if you're down in Florida, it looks a little bit different, where what you're seeing is in a slightly different angle. Now, a lot of people, I'll just move on here. A lot of people have been seeing a new light pinch off, and this is what was going on in the beginning of the month. Now, this, of course, should be, being that I'm all drawing this on one sheet of paper, this is kind of inaccurate. Saturn is actually above the Sun, and Nepacity has been moving into a different direction. It is now come closer to us and gone from where it was on the side to now over the top of us, over our heads. I've got stuff laid out here, and apparently it's not turning out exactly as I've wanted it to on where I'm going to go. A lot of people now on the left side, everybody has been seeing the Atu in front of Uri on the right side of the Sun, and then Nepacity has been over here on the left. Now everybody, or not everybody, a lot of people have been seeing this yellow thing real close to the Sun in this area, and that is the yellow moon of Saturn. Saturn has moved over and joined over the top of where the Sun would be, like right over here, and Nepacity has come into the group, and so there's this 4 planet plus 5 planet plus number of other things grouping. Now we've talked about the object cluster group, and the object cluster group is coming in and going away and coming and going every day. Now we're seeing a lot of this, and everybody's talking about the meteors and the meteorites that are coming in that are all listed on the government listings. And I'd like to point out to you that the ones that are probably the ones that we've been watching are not even on the list, because they don't want us to know about the stuff that's really huge and really close and that passes by every day. Plus, we've also noticed a whole increase in the number of objects and meteorites and fireballs and stuff like that in the last 6 to 8 years, and a lot of the people who have just started doing research see this as normal. But if you look back at history, about 10 years ago, the number of fireballs and incoming objects was way less than what's going on. So therefore, I'd like to also say, do not discount just because we're standing here on Saturday the 24th and Sunday the 25th and the 26th Monday, where everybody says, well, we're still here, we didn't get killed. Well, that's the stuff they tell us about. The stuff that's probably going to get us is not even being mentioned. Anyway, that's the object cluster group. We've talked about that a few times. I'm grabbing some paper over to the side here. Being that we've discussed it as many times, and I've talked about wanting to give you that information, and of course I'm not finding what I'm looking for. The object cluster group comes in every day, and it passes us, and we originally saw it underneath Saru when Nibiru and Saru and all these things were stacked up in an alignment, and we saw this thing underneath Saru, and this was back when the comet was coming in and it was semi-illuminated. But these objects from the object cluster group are also illuminating, and we've been seeing them underneath like this near the Sun. and we've been seeing them cross, and then over the last month or 2 or 3 months, they've gotten lower to the horizon and lower to the horizon, and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And now we're seeing them literally like this right overhead in our skies, and they're massive. There's a whole bunch of debris inside of this stuff. It's refracting in these rainbow colors because you could look at it, view it, it's sort of like an atmosphere or a bunch of gases coming off, and only in space light, when it travels through debris and gases, does it refract in a prism to create this illumination. And that's what part of what everybody's seeing near the sun is the illuminated object cluster group. Okay, there, I've discussed it with you. Now, I don't go into too much detail about this because I don't want to incite fear and panic with everybody. The other day I got accused of running panic porn or whatever that means. But anyway, for you guys out there to know that we've been talking about it for a long time, this is the object cluster group, and she's huge. I mean, she's really, really, really huge. I mean, we're seeing the object cluster group coming in, and there's been some pictures where it looks like a skull, and I'm not one usually to talk about faces in the clouds or bunnies or rainbows or any of that other stuff, but yeah, the other day we saw one that looked so spooky. It was just like, oh my God. And then I saw one today where it actually, the skull actually had teeth on top of it, and I was going, okay, I'm not going to, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to say anything about it. But anyway, that's what's been going on. A lot of us have been seeing these really, really cool red skies. Now, this is an older picture from about 2 years ago, but I figured I'd reuse it. What's happening now is Nepacity is over the top of us. It was sideways coming in, and people saw it like that, and I'll show you that in a paper configuration here soon. And what's happening is when it crosses the center line of the sun, it all of a sudden goes into this huge flaring. And that's what I talk when I talk about a cutoff flare, and why the sun is really, really, really huge in the sky and over here and on the ground sometimes in some pictures, is because it's being flared by the pinching of the planets. Now, what we're going to do with that is, if you bear with me, I'll put this together as fast as I can. Okay, we've got the sun. And when these planets come in and cut off, this is where Nepacity was, and it is now transitioning to this position here like this, and it's cutting off the top of the sun. Now, we've had Saru pass up to the upper right, and Attu and Uri are following, so Saru has been over and up and working its way up and away like this, and it's getting harder and harder to see, especially now that Nepacity is coming over the top. Let me see if I can find the rest of my stuff here. It's always a problem with doing this for you guys. I try to do it and figure out the best way to show these, but this has been working quite well. Okay, now we have had recently, got size issues here. Isatum has moved from behind where it was. Whoops, I got two there. Isatum was behind Nepacity like this, and lately she's been coming more and more out like this as Nepacity has moved upward like this. Isatum is on this side, and in some cases, depending on your location, up above or below. And people have been seeing this little yellow moon, and everybody's going, oh, it's the second sun, oh, it's Nibiru, etc., etc., etc. No, there's an illuminating moon that can sometimes be seen where you cannot even see Isatum. And I've lost my pointer, but anyway. Also, Attu has been coming and over on the right-hand side and been illuminating the skylight with this purple, and then if you look on the other side to the left-hand side, everything's red, and it's those really cool red skies we've been having lately, and that's direct facial illumination. Now, Uri has been behind Attu. What Attu was here for most of the spring and early part of summer. Now, Attu has started moving over this direction because Uri is moving out and away. So now it's going like this, and we're seeing a cutoff flare on the side of the sun. Let's see, I need to steal this, excuse me. And what's happening is when these pinch-offs happen, we're seeing this huge flaring. And if this was the ground, this is what we're seeing. And people don't get that part. And they say, well, there's no planets out there. But the flaring is a direct example of the pinch-off between the planets, where the sunlight, the LOS, I talk about that all the time, the line of sight happens, and we see this huge, massive flaring that goes because the light is actually shining between Isatum, Attu, Uri, Nepacity, and Saru is behind here. And for those of you guys who are wondering, Nibiru is also behind Saru up there. And we've had brief glimpses of the bright blue Tool star. And that, of course, is the facial star that keeps all of the Nibiru planets in alignment. And anyone who wants to PM me and ask me about that, I can explain that to you on another time. But anyway, so that's what's been going on. Now, because of this flaring, people are all going, oh, well, there's a fake mirror and all this stuff up there. Now, there may be some of that, but it takes an awful lot of space to fill up. That's what's going on. So these guys are moving, and this is a generalization of what we see in the morning. at sunrise and especially at sunset. Now, we've also seen some really unusual pictures where there was a blue background in the middle of the sun and nobody could figure out why. And that was because the flaring started occurring as Nepenthe rolls in and cuts off the sun. People have been noticing a darkness issue, and that's because Nepenthe is coming overhead and cutting off the sunlight. And we're seeing all the illumination down below, and sometimes we see facial illumination on the front of the bottom of planet Nepenthe. And if you keep your eye out and discern the difference in between the color of the sky down here and the color of the sky above here, and you notice a big oval right here, that's because it is a planet. And in some cases, like down in Florida and stuff, all they're seeing now is this. They're seeing a big dark something over the top, and they think that's clouds, and it's all red and weird colored, and it's actually Nepenthe. Nepenthe is green, but when it's close into our atmosphere and stuff, it's a blue-green, more blue. And in those little small clouds you're seeing up here, that's planet surface, and we're looking at it, and people go, oh, you know, I don't see a planet. Well, that's because it's so close and over the top of us, and it's going like this and blocking the light. You can barely see. That's what's happening, and a lot of people in Florida are seeing it. Okay, now I'm at 13 minutes here. I want to go over real quick some older information because a lot of people are brand new to this and they haven't had a chance to try and understand what exactly is happening. Okay, the reason that we don't see the planets is because when we're looking from Earth at a planet that is between us and the sun over here, all we see is the dark side of the planet. Now, when the planets start to pass us, or they're at side points of illumination, we see these weird little round crescents, which is a lot of the pictures that we've seen where Nepenthe is huge over the top of us, and all we see is this big solar flare off in the right. And after these planets pass us, when they're far enough away, we will see an illuminated side of them. But right now, currently, they're in this stage as they go up and past Earth, because they haven't gone up and past Earth this way. They're going up and past Earth this way. Now, originally in the beginning of this whole ball game, the planets came up from below our sun and worked their way up through, and they went around once, twice, 3, and 4 times. And each time, say for instance the Earth was over here, each time they've reared around us and past us. And you see a lot of these examples and models laid out on a 2D diagram, and that does not do it justice as to what's really going on. And of course I'm still searching for more papers. Years ago, in 2012, when we first started, we watched Nibiru from the northern sky come out as a small little planet about this big, and then go and then become this big, huge, massive thing that eventually ended up being a sky filler all the way across the board. And then Saru came in. And then for the longest time, we could see the blue Tool Star. We didn't know what that blue thing was, but until I figured it out. And Nana and Amelsaru Nibiru's 2 proper concentric moons. Now, when Saru came over, we started seeing the illuminated base of it because it started getting closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to us. And got bigger and bigger and bigger. We got lots of pictures. I'm sorry a lot of you guys don't get the opportunity to see these things because it takes me forever to dig all of these things out. And I'm going to be working on more files and sending them off to our dear friend Jamie Klinger, and he'll make some great movies for us because so far he's been taking care of us and posting for me on YouTube because I'm blocked everywhere. Anyway, up to 15 minutes. When we talk about binary solar system, I'm not so sure everybody knows what that means. This isn't a really great picture, but as I hopefully do not bend it while I'm grabbing it out of the pile I've got it in. What I'd like to point out, and that you can barely see this, is Hercubus is the central massive, massive gas giant. We have the standard red sun, and we have our yellow dwarf Sol, and all of her planets, and these are our planets, and this is the Nibiru. Now this is the normal behavior of this binary solar system. They're separate solar systems from 2 stars around one massive, massive Hercubus gas giant, and this runs spiral through space, and all of these planets spiral behind, playing static cling from, you know, as if it was traveling through space. Now, that's what people don't get, is Hercubus is a massive center body, the standard red sun, the dwarf yellow Sol. 83% of all solar systems have 2 or more stars. Just happens that our compound, which is what our universe is made of, a specific type of compound with all the little parts involved, like a chemistry equation, this is the Hercubus. She is visible because she has moved this way as well from behind our sun and gotten closer to us. And now we're seeing more and more pictures of her as she heads up and to the right as the rest of them. Okay, guys, aloha from tropical Montana. I've kind of run out of things to say with this, and hopefully I've given you a heads up as to what's going on, and I'll do more as I get the opportunity and time. But I want you guys to know what's going on, and I know there's a lot of folks that are just new to this subject, and I'm trying to get you caught up. And if you have any more questions, please contact me, private message, whatever you got to do. I even take phone calls from time to time. So it's nice to hear from you, and nice to see you out there, and nice for your support. And I thank you, everyone, because you guys are what makes this work, because your pictures allow me to do all the comparatives. And in my book, that's real science, is freelance comparatives. And we're not using a bunch of other people, and we're not listening to NASA, because it's never a straight answer. Aloha from tropical Montana, and Montana Skywatcher Samuel Hofman. You guys take care. Thank you very much.
Final single from the Free Warriors EP, comes this Friday.
The views of the evening, most carefully shot, those tears of the sky for the loss of the sun.
Good afternoon, aloha from tropical Montana. Hey guys, how you doing? Montana Skywatchers, this is Samuel Hofman. Today is the 24th, the 24th of September, 2016. Let me drop the tunes a little bit here, I'd like to talk to you today about some stuff. Everybody's been waiting for my next video. Point out that these are the Nibiru system planets, and where they're approximately sitting. There's been, of course, some new changes, and that's kind of why I'm making the video today. I'm glad to have you guys all along, and I'm thankful that you're all listening, and I really appreciate your support and you guys mentioning me. There's been some new talk about me down in Australia. I'm kind of interested in running into those folks down there if they can get hold of me, and some phone calls, etc. Especially since we're having computer issues between Skype and Facebook and this and that, and how most of my stuff isn't functioning like we'd like it to. But anyway, working on this video, let's get started here.